I know. It is really starting to feel like I am just handing out Rantview status to any episode that pisses me off. I do try to be a lot more. Well, I don't even want to use the word because it's kind of more tainted, but I kind of want to be more reserved. So I'll phrase, no, I won't use, because I was going to use the word conservative. No, I'll say reserved. I usually try to be a lot more reserved with my um handing out of the Rantview status label, right? Because otherwise, I might as well just say the whole series is a Rantview and move on with my day. But that's not true, as I have proven multiple times. Like a Rantview show would not have an episode that I would qualify as S rank, for example. Right? I had to watch this episode with a toothache. I have a toothache right now. And it's not helping. It's not helping. And no, the Rantview status is not because of the toothache. This episode really is that badly written, in my opinion. This is not something where a section is bad, and I hate that section. No, this whole fucking two-parter was absolutely trash. And just pissed me off. I hate this two-parter for a multitude of reasons. The first is, the duel sucks. This is honestly probably my pick for the worst duel in the show. Of the ones that actually had a conclusion. I don't count the one in Everything's Relative because that didn't have a that didn't actually have a conclusion. And I don't count the stupid duels that happened, at the start of early episodes. I don't count those. So of the ones I actually count, which is, duels that actually had proper, start and ends, this is absolutely the fucking worst duel. Now you might be thinking, well, what about, Mind Game? What about, the Rebecca two-parter, the other Rantviews? Jean-Claude Magnum. Well, here's the thing. Jean-Claude Magnum was bad. But I was still entertained slightly by my kicking that misogynistic pig's ass. Right? There was still some entertainment value to be had there, right? Mind Game. I could easily see where things were coming from. And again, it was less the duel pissing me off and more the plot pissing me off. Because remember, the only reason I lost was because plot. We can't have Merrick be defeated here, so my has to lose because as we fucking said so. Not good, my opinion. And then Rebecca, the Rebecca duel actually had some interesting ideas and some interesting moves. Ironically enough. So if I were to rank it based on the duels itself, I would say this duel sucks the most. Mind Game would be in second from last, so like in third place. And then then I would actually put probably the Jean-Claude Magnum duel in second and the Rebecca duel in first. In terms of I was ranking the duel specifically. Because the duel specifically with Rebecca was actually interesting and had some good moves to it. It was just I fucking hated the character of Rebecca with a burning passion, and the fact that she's going to show up next season and be a regular occurring character also is not going to help with that. I also have a bit of a headache, so please forgive me. So, We also, here's the other thing too. We get almost no characterization for Ota in this episode at all. We get nothing. The only thing we get is actually from the dub, because the dub tries to play up the whole, well, he likes acting like he's a machine and blah 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 blah, right? Almost to the feel of, it feels like he's deluding himself into being a machine. So we either have him being kind of eh, we either have him being kind of slash cliche, which is the dub with Nesbit and a giant man child, or we have the sub where he's generic and a giant man child. The thing is that I don't know what the hell Seto had against this guy specifically, other than the fact that his factory was on the site he wanted the dual tower on. That's the only reason I can think of why Seto would target him specifically for, being the one to basically piss off enough, which is ironic because it's actually the fifth member of the Big Five that actually challenges Seto, so shouldn't he have the biggest grudge? You would think, right? But no, we have to have the stupid fucking machine obsessed douchebag do it. Whatever. Like, seriously, it would actually make more sense if they were fucking dueling Otacon from Metal Gear Solid, Because at least if they were dueling Otacon from Metal Gear Solid, well, he has an obsession with the mecha genre of anime, right? So at least there'd be something to it, something to kind of inform his character, but nope. Instead, we get nothing, and I hate it. So the episode starts with Honda and Otogi, being Otogi is basically being all downer, and like there could be traps everywhere and all that shit. Tristan is trying to show off. Honda is trying to be nice because Shizuka's like, oh, I'm not worried. I have you two to protect me. Hey, yes, you will be safe with us, Shizuka, is literally what Honda says. Otogi says, yeah, probably not, basically. And I'm like, why the fuck are you being a dick, Otogi? Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between being a dick and thinking with your dick. Honda is thinking with his dick. Now, the funny thing is that it's a tempered thinking with his dick in this episode, which is ironic because this is actually the least egregious example of thinking with your dick in the entire season so far. But Otogi is just constantly pessimistic and is saying all of the wrong things. And effectively is not even trying to subtly hint at the fact that, hey, I know what I'm doing, trust me, Because no discussing strategy. Trust me is not a strategy. Trust me is I've got a plan. But of course, because we have to have fucking melodrama in this fucking episode, Otogi has to be a fucking dick about it. And I kind of hate it. Straight up. And then they go through a door, or they actually think they've escaped from the virtual world just by going through a door, which is a tired gag. Thanks for that, Seto. Seto and Jinochi, actually, but whatever. So Shizuka makes amateur mistakes. Honda is just dueling terribly and has a terrible opening hand. And then, and then, and then you have the stupid bombardment thing. I mean, the artillery bombardment thing, which I have to assume is you can only do that once per turn per player. I think is how that is structured, right? Like you can only so because there's three opponents, he has to discard three machine monsters, and because there are three opponents, the damage is spread amongst all three of them, kind of thing. Which I would hope that's the case because otherwise that's a fucking overpowered deckmaster ability, and quite frankly, the most over. Well, no, that's not true. The second most overpowered deckmaster ability we have seen. The most overpowered would be clear the courtroom. Or was it called life sentence? I did not write it down. And I didn't write it down, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was called life sentence in the Japanese version for clear the courtroom. Judge Man's ability. Regardless of any of that, though, oh yeah, no, this is just fucking stupid. They all play terribly. Even Otogi is just playing like absolute. Is playing absolutely fucking terribly. Terribly, I'm like, what the fuck? He'll play better in season 4, Duke will, but no, he plays like shit in this duel, and it's just terrible. So Serenity tries to place a monster in defense mode, but she doesn't know about putting the card horizontal. Wait, how did the hell does she learn dual monsters from Tristan, but does not know how to put the card sideways? I whatever. I'm not gonna harp on it. Tristan tries to cover for this blunder under with block attack, but rear Roku field shows up. Because Nesbit is a man child. Can't let him have nice things. And then Forgiving Maiden gets attacked. And then Tristan uses Cyber Commander to defend to defend Serenity, and Duke has the fucking balls to in the dub specifically, although it's no better than the fucking sub. To to berate Honda for that, and I literally had a note of, I could have protected her without losing life points. Then why didn't you? Now you could say, well, he did it first. Okay, so are you saying it can only be done once? Can we establish this? Or do we just need to keep being or do we need to keep being stupid about it? Because again, I am not feeling Duke's skills here. He keeps saying, I'm the most experienced, I have the best chance, blah, 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 but he duels just as fucking Terabad as Honda and Shizuka, if not worse. Worse. Duke manages one victory, and that's based on luck, not skill. Now, luck is involved. It can be a part of skill, as Jaden will say in Duel Links, but at the same time, no. No, you're just dueling terribly, Duke. Fuck off. And it just keeps on going like this. It's so stupid, you know? Never mind the fact that all of Nesbitt's moves seem to be geared towards fucking them over. Also, Tristan being able to summon Robo Yarrow just instantly. Can you do that? What? Ugh, whatever. I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Because I just don't care. And then so then Shizuka starts falling into despair after Honda, loses at the end of part 1. And this is where I gotta draw the line. I hate this plot point. This is effectively what ultimately, in my opinion, cemented Rantview status for me. Now, you could say, well, this has been a thing constantly and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I feel like we need to have. It feels too much like, no, my love died, therefore I need to kill myself, and it's so stupid. I know they're teenagers, but at the same time, it's like you could have had Joey show up earlier and encourage her, right? Also, I prefer Arc 5 when it comes to that because, intrusion penalty and all that. But whatever. Again, pettiness. As I'm just gonna keep bringing it up. By the way, the whole not allowed, you'll be disqualified thing, uh, was was the only bit of pettiness in the sub that I noticed anyway. So, Super Robo Yarrow has the card be placed face down, and then Yugi has to point out, "Hey, Tristan left you behind a gift." Now, he doesn't say that because that'll get them disqualified, but he says, you all have to work together. And then Duke has to realize, oh, wait, there's still one of Tristan's face down cards. Even though Command Angel already has been helping them even more. Whatever. St. Joan comes out, one of my actual favorite fusion monsters, just because I've always liked her look. Delivers the counterattack thanks to Rare Metal Soul. And that's the end. Nesbitt says that because he defeated Tristan, he still gets that body in both versions. All I'm gonna say is I'm with Crump. I think it's Crump on that one, and in the dub, and leave it at that for now. Because, like I said, I gotta see the sub during Merger of the Big Five, because I think that's where that comes into play. Hey, and then that's it. I don't have anything else to say, so let's just move on to my changes section. First of all, let's have some double defense be able to be done, because seriously, that was such a dumb plot point. I want a better flow to the duel. What I mean by that is that I don't want Shizuka sitting there in despair for half an episode. I really don't. That just drove me up a goddamn wall and pissed me off. I want less insults and bickering. Like, seriously, again. And I've got this, I've got a plan, something along those lines. But no, we have to have the characters be fucking morons. Whatever. Hell, you could even say, we need shields, and then have Honda figure it out from there. Also, I would have Serenity slash Suzuka be the one to figure out the solution instead of Yugi. Especially if we're going to go the shipping route with the two. Because at least then it's like, oh, I figured out what Honda left us. His sacrifice was not in vain. And that's it. This was a painful episode to get through, and not just because of my tooth. This would have been a painful episode, irregardless of my toothache. Because this this was just a shit episode. At least next time. Oh, and one other thing I didn't mention is I hate the fucking title, both the title of the first episode, because it pulls the classic anime trope of revealing what happens in the episode right in the title. Now, some shows have actually done that before, but have done so much better in much better ways than this, admittedly. But that's it for me. I'm just going to chop this off. Short one this week, but that's because I just don't want to talk about this stupid episode. There's nothing for me to say. What the hell can I say about this episode? It was dumb. We got nothing. I have nothing to talk about with Ota. There is nothing to talk about unless I want to talk about how his full name is an insult to one of my favorite Death Note character. But I don't want to give this stupid episode or the absolute worst member of the Big Five any more thought. So all I will say is fuck this episode. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.